The other thing I wanted to say to you in regards to Game of Thrones before we move on is, I always love these like random ass conversations from people who are getting into the books for the first time, or even the television show for the first time. In fact, I want to introduce you later to this guy I met in my community. He's read the books, but Preston, he has never watched the TV shows.
Oh, interesting. Lucky guy.
Somehow that's possible. He's heard about like how it gets bad, but he's never like gone into detail. Right. I almost want to do like a watch.
Well, I mean, remember that Elio like has purposely not like watched the show too. So
he's not seen anything beyond season 5, and he says it.
He said that like through osmosis he has has figured it out, like has heard about a lot. But you know, my wife is the same. Like she's never read the books. She's never like dealt with the series. But she feels like she could explain the plot to people. Like I was like, I don't know about that, but
that would be. By the way, that would be a great video idea. Like your wife trying to explain like Game of Thrones just to see if she like.
But the problem is that the osmosis that she's around is that she will immediately be like, well, then Joffrey dies at the Purple Wedding, but some people don't think that he actually was killed by Littlefinger and that he was actually eating a pie that was. And I was like, it would be all confusing like that. So.
You poisoned the well. Oh shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the conversations I saw online that I thought was fascinating was that, you know, I don't know if this person is going through the show for the first time. Maybe they were just trying to stir up the conversation. But it's interesting. The person asked here, like, do you think Tywin knew that it was Arya who was his cupbearer in the show? And you say no. I say no. But I say no because, like, and we had this conversation before about Tywin's stupidity on stream. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
How he doesn't
like when Joffrey outsmarts him. Joffrey's like, there's dragons in the east. Don't you think we should do something about that? And Tywin's like, no. You know, you're like, oh great, Joffrey's smarter than you. Fantastic.
Tywin is weirdly careless. Like he never asked Tyrion like, why did Catelyn kidnap you? Like,
in the books? Yeah, first of all, there's just a lot of plot holes, but
also in the show, I don't recall in the show asking Tyrion why like he was captured by Catelyn. Like he just like all he says is, you were captured, you left us no choice.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's the same. I mean, it's just kind of a plot hole. Like of course, like everyone should be asking Tyrion, why were you arrested? And then he'd be like, she thought there was this dagger thing, and it would be out in the open like immediately. Like
that Littlefinger accused me of having.
Yeah, and then immediately like everybody's like, Littlefinger, what the fuck? And then they arrest him and they fucking execute him. And then the story's over. But it's a huge plot hole that like we've talked about this. Like it's a huge plot hole that Tyrion arrives in King's Landing and does not take action against Littlefinger. But it's a plot hole before that no one is asking Tyrion, what the fuck? Why were you arrested? I mean, when right? If you have a friend who is arrested, what's the first thing you ask?
What happened?
For what? Yeah, what happened? For what? I don't understand why they do that. Like, it's just never like no one fucking asks Tyrion. No one.
Isn't it stated like in their first meeting in Clash of Kings that the reason Tyrion is hesitant to touch Littlefinger is because he knows Littlefinger has put men in important places that could outfox him?
Something like that. Or I mean, I'm trying to remember. It's like he thinks the quote is something like he thinks I can't touch him or something. It's something crazy. It's something like, yeah. He says sometimes later we're going to have a conversation or something, and then it never happens.
You mind if I read you the quote?
Sure.
That's a handsome knife as well. Is it? There was mischief in Littlefinger's eyes. He drew the knife and glanced at it casually, as if he had never seen it before. Valyrian steel and a dragonbone hilt. A trifle plain, though. It's yours, if you would like it. Mine? Tyrion gave him a long look. No, I think not. Never mind. He knows, the insolent wretch. He knows, and he knows that I know, and he thinks I cannot touch him. But do I dare touch him? Tyrion wondered. Even if he is a traitor. He was not at all certain he could, at least not now. While the war raged. Given time, he could replace Littlefinger's men with his own in key positions, but... So, what are you going to do? Like, what can you do?
Like, just execute him right then and there, and all of his men would be like... all right. Like, it's not like once he's dead, his men can't really do anything. They're like, I guess there goes our paycheck. Like,
that's a good point.
What are they gonna do after that? You know, like, just should have just chopped off his head like immediately, just killed him right then and there. Pulled it, like, did exactly what he did to Janis Slint. He had no fear of doing it to Janis Slint, which would piss off Littlefinger, but you know, he just does.
Tywin in the show is almost as careless. I mean, he's almost as careless as Tywin. I would say Tywin in the show is a bit more careless because, like I said in my post here, like, he's so convinced he's the smartest person ever that he's just so arrogant, and that makes him the dumbest person. Like, Tywin is intelligent, but because he can't conceive of the possibility that this would be Arya, and I was too stupid to see it, he can't conceive that possibility, and therefore it cannot and did not happen. Yeah. Even if he puts 2 and 2 together later, that's not possible. I would have seen it beforehand.
I mean, Tywin is very careless in both book and show, and people assume that because Charles Dance is so, like, calculating and clever and clever seeming. I have no idea if Charles Dance is actually clever in real life, but, like, he's a brilliant actor, and he seems so smart and put together. Tywin in the books is a little different. You know, he's a little more macho. They're both careless. Some of the carelessness is plot holes, but for example, like, the reason Tywin marches north and attacks Roose Bolton is kind of out of nowhere. Like, all the characters decide that Stannis is a rebel before Stannis has rebelled, and so they do a lot of actions for that reason. But but you think about some other things that Tywin's done that's very careless. Okay, like putting Oberyn Martell on the council on the judge panel, and then having breakfast with him and things like that. Like, having Oberyn Martell around, letting Oberyn Martell, like, visit Tyrion, doing all these sorts of things, like not keeping a close eye on Oberyn Martell is really dumb. Fucking Shay, like of all the women that you could be fucking, why Shay? Like, come on, like, that is reckless. That's very reckless. Even if Tyrion didn't find him, like, there's spies about and they see shit and they have stuff on you, you know? So there's definitely like rather reckless things that Tywin does. I mean, shit, like leaving Cersei and Tyrion in charge as hand is as regent in hand is fucking careless. Like, put somebody Kevin Lannister, put your fucking brother there. Like, you put anybody, put Jenna Lannister, put Adam Marbrand. Anybody is going to be better than Tyrion and Cersei.
That was another piece of conversation, by the way, that Shay was a spy planted by Tywin to monitor Tyrion's movements. And yeah, I mean, I'm going to be real with you. In the conversation I had with Elio, it's probably in part 2, and he says, like, he quotes George, and I don't know if George did say this, but I'll take his word for it. He said George once said, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Sure.
But Elio is very anti-theory, so
he is way more than me. But the idea that Shay could be a spy for Tywin or Littlefinger or Varys. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, maybe Shay's just a social climber. Like,
even Tywin's attack on the Riverlands with the mountain was super, super careless. How does Tywin know that Robert's gonna die? Like, if Robert doesn't die, eventually that shit's getting, like, Robert eventually hears about it, but like, but Robert's dying at that point. But like when Robert got back into town and found out that like Tywin was just like murdering people in the Riverlands for no fucking reason, like that destroys the Westerlands. Like Robert staying alive would have sunk the Lannisters. And like and why was Tywin? Like because he couldn't deal with the shame of having his son kidnapped, you know? So there's a lot of carelessness on Tywin. Tywin's a careless character. You know, he's not a calculating master planner. He's just a dick who has no morality, and he's not constrained by morality. So people are like, "Oh, the Red Wedding is so crafty." No, he just was not constrained by morality. So
yeah, but Robert, God, I love the character, but this is where he's such a toothless bitch, especially when it comes to the Lannisters. What did Robert really do when Jaime and Ned had that fight in the streets of King's Landing? Pretty much nothing. So, what do you really think?
Well, Jaime was gone, right? Jaime was gone at that point,
right? But he didn't order like Jaime's arrest or anything like that. Like, you know, it's just make up. Like,
well, it was so stressful for him that he needed to go hunting. I guess that was the idea. But you know, in the end, it wouldn't have gone well. I mean,
that's a nice what if. I would love to ask George that. Like, what if Robert survived? What would he have done?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine everything would have come crashing down. I mean, on the Lannisters, they got so fucking lucky. They got so fucking lucky that Cersei got Robert drunk, or whatever. You know, like and that he happened to die while drunk.